Why do we say volatile? We don't even know what is our world subjected to today. It's very uncertain. A change in the China economy may actually impact India's growth. That's why we call it as uncertain. Complex. Why is it complex? A product that I develop in India, today because of the network or the surrounding technologies which have evolved, including 5G, have made my business go beyond the boundaries of a particular country or a location or whatever. So which means that I have to be able to sell my product beyond a certain region that I am in today and be able to think of those complexes. One such complex that I can talk about is compliances. When I sell a product from India in UK, I have to actually keep my product ready for the compliances of an UK government, which changes without my knowledge. So that's why it's complex and ambiguous. No decision can be black or white. It can only be gray today. Why? Because I take a decision today based on the context that I know of. Today, India, we get rains, possibly 6 months a year, maybe 4 months a year. And today, maybe I know China likes this, UK likes this. Today, as a user, I love maybe red color more than black color, so I can design my clothing or retail chain based on that. However, it is ambiguous because I don't know what my global market would want to know. So similarly, so many decisions are taken at just in time, but may not be relevant tomorrow. So the decisions are always ambiguous. That's why we call it as ambiguous. That's why it's a VUCA world that we live. Now what's happening to the technologies? I think a telephone, possibly in our times, would have taken about 70 to 80 years, correct, sorry if my stats are not correct, would have taken possibly 70 to 80 years to reach 100 million users. The Facebooks and the WhatsApps and all of these messaging technologies possibly would have taken less than a year. And today we are talking about ChatGPT. And as I remember reading it about that, it has taken less than 5 days to reach 100 million users. So look at the impact of technology that's happening. Then can you catch up with that? That's a big question mark that you have. But what is important as a student is that I go back to my days, right? So I remember I was going to the college, sitting there, I was okay in scores, maybe not be the topper, but then still I was okay in my studies, getting nice, satisfactory marks as per my parent, and things were going on, but I was not enjoying. I wasn't really enjoying until one fine day, my dad, who is a civil engineer, who said, he was in a very casual talk, he was saying, when a doctor fails, the impact of just in time, at that point of time, could be an individual, but an engineer fails, it could be that the impact could be for several people. So that triggered something more than possibly what he said to my mind. I felt that I'm here for a purpose. I think that's when my passion index started kicking in. I would say maybe when I look back, at that point I didn't even realize that was my trigger. But now when I look back those years, I feel that triggered a little different thought process about engineering. I started going to the classroom with an intent to understand the subject, and that's what, my friends, is very important today. I'll move on to the, but these are the ones which are making a difference. I'll come to that in in a while. I did touch upon these things, that VUCA world, we are in a world which is global, which is what I call it is, whatever we do is not for a territory, not for a region, not for a country, it is beyond. It can be beyond, that's the point, right? We have seen disruption everywhere. Now, when you talk about disruption, I don't want to give, actual examples because you already have, everyone is sitting with a telephone. I remember, right, you can predict the data based on the past patterns, based on the churnings that you do on the patterns, and then project it. Then you have something called generative AI, which all of you are aware, which is called ChatGPT, where the content of content is curated and given you or presented to you in a very quick manner, in a better manner, so that you can refine. You now don't have to search for how to make a profile. You can actually give your details and it generates profile. Good or bad, we don't know. It all depends on how we use it to really actually better our lives. And you go to the next layer, which is where the digitization is happening, right? Which is where the integration happens between the systems. If I have to kind of design a retail workflow, right? What we call it as business process flow. I have to imagine from user point of view. As a user, end user, how do I actually, make my, make my purchase? Based on that, you design workflows or workflows. What we call it as business process workflow, for which you have multiple technologies around. There are core products like Pega, TIBCO, BPM, so multiple, including IBMs. And there are systems which needs to be integrated. There are flows which needs to be integrated based on the outcome that you would like to see. Technologies which are augmenting to the realities, right? Which we call it as AR, VR, metaverse, and all of these. These are bringing virtual, virtual systems into the computer world, or rather virtual realities into the computer world, bringing human to closer to the computer world in a virtual world. Now, the usage of it is abundant. You call about, I know AR, VR or metaverse is like a big topic that can go on for like a couple of hours minimum, even to give a high level orientation. But what's happening with this is the evolution on the construction of a smart world, right? Basically, it expands and increase the fusion of, combination of physical and digital experiences. We talked about AR, VR. We also have different things, right? IoT. How many of you have heard IoT? Internet of Things, great. But have you visualized how it is impacting the different sectors, verticals? What we call in corporate world, we call it as verticals, like life sciences or your, finance industry. Have you visualized how it impacts? Have you heard of the smart cities, right? Yes. What does it mean, smart city? Anybody? You have to make it interactive, otherwise you will hear a monologue. What is a smart city? Anybody? There's no right and wrong things. I already told you, in engineering there is nothing called right and wrong. It's only being explorative and finding, and even if you're wrong, try to make it right. That's what is engineering is, because there may be a solution even in the wrongs.
Organized city.
Sorry?
Organized city, ma'am.
Organized city. Is that what I heard? Organized cities, possibly connected cities, maybe smarter cities where you can predict few things. You can actually, how do I actually curate content for myself? That's a problem. I have too much information at my hand and I'm lost. How do I curate content for your, for your area of interest and to get clear deliverables? Today, universities are doing a very good job. They give you online notes. They exactly tell you the topics that you have to read and score marks. That's great. But that doesn't help you when you come to the real world. You have to curate the content yourself as you move on. Years of experience, right? So every year there's something new coming up. You have Dr. Rethi here who's working on the AI side of it. I'm sure nobody has taught us how to curate content and read. You have to learn and figure out a way of curating content. Now each one has their style, but point is that when you curate a content, when you are actually accessing Google, every professor and every faculty member will be very upset that you're all the time on the phone. And believe me, why not actually develop thinking on the feet quality, which is like you should be able to think on the feet, and that happens if you're in a support project. So and I'm not saying all of you should go into that project. All that I'm saying is if a role comes to your bucket, there is a learning there too. Testing, why is it so important? Everybody says this system, somebody has to sit here, fine. But what if the person doesn't sit here? The negative test cases, they're so important to develop a product in a right way. The usage is an important factor. How do you actually put yourself into a customer's shoe and design a product? We called it as a big eruption. Many people lost jobs, and there's so much of chaos in the industry. I think even in 2008, another boom happened. A lot of people lost their job. It's only because they were not able to get connected to the industry and take ownership of their career. When you actually get into hopefully all of you become entrepreneurs, very good, you have your ideas and do it. But if you join by mistake, you have to have good soft skills. And that means that you have to participate in all talking to global customers, which means that you are prone to or subject to unknowns, subject to possibly the cultural differentiation, subject to possibly anchor and situation which you are not used to. These things are not the skills that can be taught through technical curriculum. These are the things which you can learn through extracurricular activities, being a part of some community.